This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. On today's show, we're going to be talking about jazz singer Mary Lou Williams. She was born in the early 20th century. Over her career, she mastered several jazz styles including stride, swing, hard bop, and more. She was also an iconic composer. Her compositions number the hundreds. She typically wrote them for other jazz greats like Duke Ellington and Benny Goodman, two of her mentors in the jazz arena. She went on to mentor several other jazz greats from Bud Powell to Dizzy Gillespie to Charlie Parker and more. In 1971, Mary Lou Williams was nominated for a Grammy for Best Jazz Performers for her album Giants, Dizzy Gillespie, Bobby Hackett and Mary Lou Williams. In 1983, Duke University established the Mary Lou Williams Center for Black Culture. Also, since 1996, the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. has an annual Mary Lou Williams Women in Jazz Festival. So on today's show, we're going to be talking all about Mary Lou Williams, her biography and best hits. Also coming up, some trending festival and album news. This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. We'll be right back after some music. Stay tuned. And welcome to the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. On today's show, we're talking about jazz sensation Mary Lou Williams. On this segment, it's a bit about her biography. Mary Lou Williams was born on the 8th of May 1910 in Atlanta, Georgia to a working-class family. At an early age, she took up piano playing. She would tour her neighbors' homes and play the piano for them. In 1925, as a 15-year-old, Williams was a full-time working musician. By the mid-20th century, she had solidified her status as a jazz great. In the 30s, she played a pivotal role in the development of Kansas City swing sound as it came to be known. By the 40s, she had started touring and mentoring other jazz greats like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie and Thelonius Monk. To Mary Lou Williams, jazz seemed to be an all-encompassing solution. It would help her pay the bills and succeed in helping her tour all across the country and across Europe. But it was also taking its toll on her health. In 1954, the jazz scene completely overwhelmed her. The physical exhaustion proved too much for her, so she quit jazz for a while. According to one eyewitness testimony, she just stood up during a piano performance in Paris and quit performing for 3 years. And yet, during her days away from the music scene, she would reflect about the meaning of her life's work. It was a very difficult time for jazz musicians. At the time, jazz was largely male-dominated as a sphere of activity. Williams had been a long-standing patron of jazz. Also in the 50s, many musicians were getting involved in the civil rights movement. So, Mary Lou managed to overcome these strenuous times by her spirituality. So in 1957, Mary Lou Williams returned to the jazz scene with new goals. To her, music was more than just music. It was about making spiritual and politically themed songs. One of her iconic albums upon her return reflected this mentality, an album with a religious theme called Black Christ of the Andes. This was an album dedicated to the memory of a Peruvian saint. She would also perform in jazz masses at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Her music from that time shows a blend between jazz and gospel music. She composed several noteworthy songs at that time, tracks like Zoning in 1974, Medi 2, which was about the peppy sound of the pop era, Ghost of Love, a solemn song like a hymn, Rosa May, a blues song with a funky bass. So, overall, her style encompassed several subgenres of jazz music. She owned the entirety of the 20th century sound of American jazz. Late in her life, she spent a lot of time trying to portray a picture of her version of jazz to the American public. The beginnings of jazz, at a turbulent time for African Americans, to its later evolution into a spiritual, ragtime, swing and bebop genre. She would tour schools, teaching school kids all about jazz, went on to lecture in Duke University. She died in 1981, leaving behind a legacy as one of the greatest composers and vocalists in jazz, as well as being an educator and philanthropist. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. It's time to talk about a trending festival. The world's largest music festival has announced its lineup for the year 2024. The North Sea Jazz Festival takes place in Rotterdam from the 12th to the 14th of July. They have just announced the lineup. The show features jazz, blues, soul, pop and more. More than 60 artists and some of the world's biggest stars are on the lineup, including Joshua Redman, Sting, Cecil McLaurin-Salvant and many more. There's also emerging artists making their debuts at the North Sea Jazz Festival, For more information, please visit www.northseajazz.com/nl. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. That was some trending festival news right there. We're going for a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about more great hits by Mary Lou Williams. Stay tuned. This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. On today's show, it's all about Mary Lou Williams, her life and times and best hits. On this segment, we're going to be talking about some of her best compositions of all time, songs that changed the course of her career. Until the Real Thing Comes Along, a song recorded by her band, The Clouds of Joy. This one was a song originally recorded to show the plight of early African Americans. Mary Lou Williams improved on its melody. It's a beautiful saxophone song. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, a song that has religious themes. She composed this one as part of a series of religious songs for her album Black Christ of the Andes. A song that she composed for another jazz icon, Benny Goodman, called Rollin'. The song went on to see massive success after Benny Goodman performed it in 1937. And a song called In the Land of Oodablee, which is a bebop song. A story of a fairy tale in a mythical land called Oodablee. So on this segment, we're going to be talking about the meanings of these songs. Stay tuned. This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. We'll be right back after some music. This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for archives of today's show on the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. On today's show, Mary Lou Williams, an iconic jazz composer and vocalist. On this segment, we're talking about some of her best compositions. To start off with, one of her best songs of all time. A song that would change the course of her career. Until the Real Thing Comes Along. Now this song was recorded by The Clouds of Joy because the label said they wanted something sweet. So this song has its origins in a long-forgotten song based on the hardships of African Americans in bygone times. It was originally written by Lawrence Freeman. Williams improved on its melody. It's one of the best tracks from The Clouds of Joy. Contains smooth saxophone interludes and romantic piano music. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, from the album Black Christ of the Andes. This one's actually a song that uses the metaphor of devil and God to bring out the differences in human emotions. In the story, there is love, torn between opposite forces, the forces of the devil and the deep blue sea. The singer doesn't want to lose their lover, but they don't want them either. So, they're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. It's a song that talks about the complexities of human relationships. So this song was taken from a series of religious theme songs that she composed for an album called Black Christ of the Andes. Another hit single, her 1937 composition Rollin'. This song went on to see massive success after Benny Goodman performed it in 1937. It features an infectious boogie feel. It's a great dance track instrumental featuring piano, trumpet and clarinet music. A song that she composed in honor of a Peruvian saint. In the Land of Oodablee. This one's a bebop song that she composed and was originally recorded by Dizzy Gillespie. A humorous sort of song. In the story, there's a broken fairy tale. The theme is about a fairy princess and her ugly sisters. The protagonist in the song, which was originally performed by Dizzy Gillespie, asks the princess to marry him. During the wedding, something weird happens. The sister's father tries to substitute one of the ugly sisters for the bride. The entire story takes place in a mythical land called Oodablee. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. On today's show, Mary Lou Williams, her life and times and best music. Now it's time to talk about an iconic album release. Mercury Music Prize nominated saxophonist and composer Cassie Kinoshi is out with a new album. It's called Gratitude and it's released on International Anthem Records. The album features her performing alongside her band, Seed, and the London Contemporary Orchestra. The album was released on March 22nd. 2 tracks from the album are now available on streaming platforms. A track from the first part of the orchestral suite, and a guitar solo from Seed band member Shirley Tedder. Now, Kinoshi is all about creating orchestral pieces, ranging from contemporary, dance, visual art and theatre-oriented musical pieces. Her previous collaborators include the Philharmonic Orchestra and the London Symphony Orchestra. In her album, Gratitude, we see a cross-section of all of this. A beautiful album that features modern classical music and contemporary jazz with a touch of electronic music to it. The tracks are influenced by jazz legends like Mary Lou Williams, Oliver Nelson, and Carla Bley. Kinoshi says her album was written as part of an introspective process. The album is all about focusing on the beautiful things in life, celebrating the communities, the people, the natural world, seeing the positive in the world around us. To download the album, please visit www.international-anthem.inc.2/gratitude. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashan De Silva. On today's show, it's all about Mary Lou Williams, her life and times, and best hits. We're going for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about more great hits from Mary Lou Williams. Stay tuned.